Hi, Ellen.
Hi, Dr. Honda. How
Look at
are
that
you?
smile. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well today.
Yeah.
I'm just amazed.
Yeah, me too. It's always so powerful for me because even though I do it, I see a lot of people get better. Every time someone gets better, I'm always amazed at how miraculous the journey is.
Yeah.
So what were some of your initial reasons to seek us out? Your initial symptoms, perhaps that were not getting resolved or...
So I have suffered from chronic facial pain and head pain. I don't know, it was hard to pinpoint what the source of the pain was. I was diagnosed with a facial neuralgia on the left side of my face, the result of surgery, mouth surgery I had in 2016. Nobody's actually called it trigeminal neuralgia, although the oral surgeon calls it all atypical trigeminal neuralgia. That was on the left side of my face, and I would get these pains in clumps. There would be times, I know when the pandemic started, I had an episode that lasted 6 weeks.
Wow.
And I have I saw a neurologist as a result of this, and I've been on medication for the neuralgia. And it sometimes doesn't work. But in November, this past November, I was visiting my kids in California. My plane landed at San Francisco airport. I got off the plane and I could have been brought to my knees with the pain that I felt on the right side of my face, my good side.
Right.
I simply couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I went to see a dentist while I was in California because I really couldn't function. I was there to celebrate Thanksgiving and my birthday and my kids and my grandkids, and I really couldn't function. I was lucky to go to a dentist who also suffered from TMJ disorder, and he told me what to do with over-the-counter medications, and it worked for a while, and then it didn't. And when I came back, I went to see my dentist, and I believed that I had a dental team that was supportive. But I had this feeling that each of the people that I was seeing was very good at what their specialty was, but each of them was on a very narrow path.
Sure.
And I had the feeling that there must be someone or some way or somehow to get like a meta look at what was going on for me. First of all, the idea that my good side had something wrong with it, I simply couldn't accept that. It was just over the top for me. I had learned to live with
You
the
had
pain
accepted
here.
the left side, and now when the good side acted up, you're like, wait a minute, I'm going to trust my gut. So you trusted your gut, really.
And I started going online. And at first I went online to TMJ symptoms, treatment for TMJ, whatever. But then I started looking more intensively, and your name came up, and I almost couldn't believe it, because I thought, oh, I'm gonna have to go to Boston, and I'm gonna go to Boston. Your name came up, and here you were.
Yeah.
15 minutes away.
Wow.
So I kept it from my dental team. I wanted just to see
an objective
and what was possible.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because when I found your description online, and I went to your website and I saw, people's testimonials. I was talking with one of my dearest friends, and she said, well, how can this be that somebody's so close? Why wouldn't your dentist tell you about this?
Mm.
I was like, yeah, why wouldn't my dentist tell me about this, right? Anyway, I made an initial call after a few weeks. I mulled it.
Sure.
I mulled it. I made a call, and I was fortunate enough to get just the most wonderful initial connection with Kathy, and we talked for a really long time, and I just, it was a wonderful feeling. And as we were saying earlier, she, told me about the beginning and the assessment, and how it might take a while for us to be able to schedule an appointment, but there was a snowstorm coming up, and if that snowstorm indeed was happening, you were going to be available because nobody was going to be coming in.
Yeah.
And that also was an amazing to be able to meet you and have you listen to me, and also have me listen to you. That was truly wonderful.
Thank you.
Concurrent with that, my dental team, or my dentist, became increasingly impatient with my pain. And it no longer felt as it used to feel. From the moment I walked into this practice, every single person that I have worked with, encountered, said hello to, every one of you has just been, I don't know if I can find the words, but so accepting and so respectful, and to have somebody call after a dental procedure, to have somebody from this office call and say, how are you? How is it for you? Was just absolutely stunning for me. And that's very unusual.
Thank you. I think part of, for me, building a healing practice is to incorporate elements of where the patient can be seen and heard and followed up with, because you're not just someone who is an insurance code or paid us money, or it truly matters to know how your journey is, because it actually helps the outcome, and it
Yes.
shows me how to help you, and it makes, I think as dentists, what maybe the outside world doesn't quite always see is how stressful our work lives are, because we're balancing being a mechanical clinician to a small business owner to a communications coach to paperwork. And I think when you know where your patient's at, then during that clinical visit you can step into the whatever side of the brain it calls upon, the right and the left side.
Yes.
Because otherwise you're trying to do both at the same time, and I think that's part of a dentist's frustration sometimes. And I really do believe that if your dentist truly knew what I was doing, they would have in a heartbeat been sent you over. And I think that part of us even doing this video is sharing the word that we can help.
Yeah.
And it's taken a lot of investment from your end to be here. Time, effort, trust, money. It's not just me and us. You've shown up just as well.
I'm committed.
You absolutely are committed. So what do you feel if you had to say that these were my obstacles?
Well, I'm a very good girl. I'm a rule follower. And I think that having people who I'm going to, who I pay to take care of me, having them kind of not make other suggestions kept me, I guess it was ultimately it was my pain and my unwillingness to accept what I was being told, and my insistence in some way. Like, I can be very stubborn, like I'm a very good girl until I get to a certain point, and then I dig my heels in. And once I make up my mind, you are not going to sway me, because I have made up my mind. And I think in some way I got to that I simply could no longer accept that all that was being done was all that could be done.
Yeah, so that was your unnegotiable. You're like,
Yes.
This is my line in the sand.
Yes.
I refuse to accept. And I'll never forget what you said to me, that this pain is stopping you from traveling to see your family or do the dance classes that you love.
It was stopping me from almost everything, honestly, because I could never predict what the day was going to feel like. And there were so many days that I literally was curled up in a ball, waiting for the pain to subside. And that is not how I have ever lived my life.
Right.
I've traveled all over the world. I've been to 6 continents. I have only not been to Antarctica because I don't like the cold. But I have had adventures. And to go from that to curled up in a ball, I just simply was not. I couldn't. I chose not to do that anymore.
Good for you. So what, if anything, did you learn about yourself through this process? That was a revelation to you that you perhaps hadn't recognized in your own self.
Oh, that's an interesting one, because I think I know myself pretty well. But maybe the right answer is that I should have moved more quickly than I did. But I don't know that I believe that. I believe that I had to go through what I went through to get to the point that I was no longer willing to accept that this was all I had in front of me.
Maybe just a renewed learning of accepting your journey and accepting the process, and a reminder to follow your intuition.
Yes.
And that you deserve more. You deserve not to be in pain. Not just both sides, even on one side.
Yes. Yes.
So what's next for you? What's possible?
Oh, goodness. Well, that's not such an easy
Well, you went to the